So you will have learned a lot over the last few days. You've seen that everything you experience starts in your consciousness, and life does not just happen to you, it happens through the awareness that you occupy. And that awareness, your sense of self, shapes how you feel, what you notice, and how you respond in every moment of your life. And over time, of course, patterns appear. Certain situations, interactions, they keep showing up for you. And this is never random. It's the reflection of the state that you're living from. And by reflection, I mean life is mirroring that inner position that you occupy. So, how people respond, how all the events are unfolding, and what's showing up in your day all reflect what you are being inside. So, you've also seen how your state determines your experience. So, when your inner position is calm and confident and secure, the world responds differently than when your state is anxious and uncertain and tense. Repeated situations and interactions simply show where your awareness is resting, and at that moment, every pattern, no matter how small, points back to the state that we're living from. And inside the reset, this is where we start transforming awareness into embodiment, not just noticing the patterns, but living from the identity that no longer repeats them. Now, we move into the power of assumption because Neville taught that assumption is not just thinking positively or being high vibe or hoping for a positive future. It's living and feeling as the version of yourself who already has what you desire. And this means assumption is not something you do to make something happen, it's the state you occupy before anything changes. So if you're imagining from a place of waiting or hoping or checking, you're still relating to desire as it's in the future rather than it's fulfilled, like the wish fulfilled for you now. So this is not about waiting for proof of evidence. You have to inhabit the fulfilled state right now, and then your world will respond naturally to that inner state. And as Neville said, live in the assumption that your desire is already realized. For what you feel yourself to be, you are. And that is a really important core principle. The inner state you occupy determines what your life reflects back to you. An assumption works because the feeling that we occupy dominates our consciousness. The feeling does not need to be intense or even emotional. It must feel natural, familiar, and unquestioned, like something already has settled. So if the state that you're trying to occupy feels effortless and special or like something you have to hold together, you're still moving towards it. When it starts to feel ordinary and like you wouldn't question it anymore. It's just naturally who you are. This is when it's been assumed. And often that brings a feeling of quiet relief and certainty and calm and a simple, like deep down knowing rather than excitement that kind of rises up and down. So take a moment right now, drop into your body, take some deep breaths, and then feel what calm and certainty would feel like. That grounded, peaceful, like inner knowing that says, this is already done. That's the state we anchor inside the reset until it becomes second nature. So you enter the assumption through your imagination, and this can appear differently for different people, but or a mixture of everything. So it can be like images or inner speech and inner talk, or just like a felt sense of completion. It's like a simple knowing. So not to one extreme of like a fantasy, but not the other extreme of like a constant pressure. It's a natural inner experience that makes you feel like this is done. So imagination is not used to convince or like escape the present. It's used to place awareness in the state where the desire is already true, it's already done. So, imagination, you can use it to allow you to step fully into the assumed desired state. And persistent imagination strengthens the assumption and allows it to become itself in your reality. So for example, imagine if you need to complete a big project at your work. So instead of worrying about the approval or waiting for circumstances to align, take a few moments to enter the state in the moment as if the project is already complete. Feel the satisfaction, the clarity, the confidence, having finished it successfully on time or ahead of time. Notice how your thoughts and your decisions and your reactions, they naturally arise from that state throughout the day. So you're not forcing the outcome, you're living from the end, and your inner state guides the outer results. So you do not need to act differently or monitor your behavior. Action and response shift on their own when the state has changed. And this is exactly the essence of what we call living from the end inside the reset, training your nervous system to feel safe in success, not just to think about it. When it's embodied, assumption stops being an effort and it starts being your baseline frequency. And in the reset, you will hear me talking about frequency all the time. Now, once the assumption is taken on, do not look especially at the beginning for the outer world for confirmation. Any sort of like checking, measuring, testing reality, it places you back in the old state again. Faith, which is what we need to have, because faith does not question, it rests in the conviction the end is already secure, the end is done. Persistence, it's key, it matters, but persistence doesn't mean it can't feel like it's a forced belief or maintaining constant focus or maintaining a certain to do list. It means returning to the assumed state whenever you notice you've shifted out of it. Even if the assumption seems false at the first, Neville always emphasised to us that an assumption, if it's persisted in, it will harden into fact. It's the law. So this is not about how long it takes. Time is not the deciding factor. Time is a made up construction for another video. But what determines your manifestation is how continuously you occupy the assumed state. So an assumption hardens into fact through like continuing of the identity, nothing to do with time. Persistence is the loyalty to the identity, not constant visualization, emotional intensity, or constant effort. You need to be naturally feeling like continually reinforcing what you desire through your imagination. This is a way that gradually reshapes through patterns and behavior, and over time, the outer world must align with the inner state you constantly occupy. So, faith in Neville's teachings is what got me through. It's the confidence in your own awareness of being. It's not trust in external forces and factors and timing and money and everything else. It's when you assume a state, you trust yourself enough to remain loyal to that state without needing the reassurance or like confirmation in your 3D dimensional world. Now, I remember when I was first beginning this work and when I'm teaching it, it's a hard lesson, but it's not about trying harder. It's about relaxing, pausing, relaxing into the version of me. So for you, you need to be able to relax into that version of you who already has it. It's already done, it's created in the quantum. That's the shift that the reset helps you hold, because loyalty to your new self, even when the old world, your outer world, the reality, the 3D reality hasn't caught up yet, it allows you to think and act and respond naturally from the assumed state without forcing anything. So, by combining like imagination, naturally feeling, awareness of your being, and persistence, you step into the version of yourself who already has what you desire. This is the essence of what Neville meant by assumption. The inner state comes first, and the outer reality will follow after. So, this leads good into the homework for today. So, it's going to be about practicing assumption in a tangible, lived experience, if you like. So let's start with noticing one area of your life where you're waiting for proof or waiting for validation or hoping for circumstances to change before believing your desire is possible, it's created, it's done. This is the area where assumption it hasn't become natural and doesn't feel normal for you yet. So take a few minutes to enter the state as if it's your end result. So take that pause, take that deep breath, ground yourself, and take a few minutes to enter the state as if the end result is already real. Engage your senses, notice what you see, what do you hear, what do you feel. Step fully into the assumed state. Allow your imagination to build the picture of the desired outcome. Focus on the feeling. It's got to be that feeling of like, this is normal now, not massive excitement or relief. You can have parts of that in it, but it needs to feel normal, like something you wouldn't question, like, of course I have that, it's already done. So throughout the day, allow your thoughts and your reactions and your responses to arise naturally from this imagined state, from the assumptions that we've just built without forcing behavior or trying to force the outcomes. And if you notice yourself checking or questioning or doubting or waiting for the evidence again, just gently take that pause, take that breath, and allow yourself to return to that assumed state that we just created. And the more you practice this, the more you're going to stop trying to correct the outside world and you're going to practice assuming that desired state. And at the end of the day, it can help to write a few sentences. Today, I noticed I was living in the state of. The more you journal, the more you keep a record, the more you're going to train yourself to keep on doing this. And I always like to include one concrete example. So, maybe a person, a situation, or an inner feeling that reflected a new state. So, in a way, it is like measuring success, but I just it's not about whether you've done well or not done well. It's more about training yourself to notice the continual improvements, because it's only by paying attention that's when you're going to notice, oh, that assumption just feels so settled, so normal. Like it's so natural for me to do this now. So, this exercise is about recognition and repeated practice, that persistence that Neville taught us about, not perfection. So, we need to observe how our imagination influences our state and our goals, and how successful we're being in getting towards them. And again, if you want to go deeper inside this and stabilize those assumptions until they become such a natural identity, and to understand how your assumptions reshapes all these relationships, like the inner speeches, the energetics, the dynamics, that's the work we go deep into the reset method, where I give you tools and frequency and just so much more deeper information on assumptions and how you can find the assumptions that are ruling the states that you're in. Then again, you'll find the link below. And if you feel called, again, reply to the post below and share with everyone, what are your golden nuggets? What are your big takeaways? What has just suddenly clicked? And I will see you tomorrow.